Hello. Welcome to My Alaska podcast. Today we have somebody very great to the community that everybody in the community knows. I've been asking around and they told me this is the guy to talk to. And we have him here. We have no other than Tom Begich, the great Tom Begich. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing good. So good to see you.
I want to say thank you very much for coming to this platform to talk to us first of all. How's your day going today?
Today has been a busy day. Meetings since I woke up, and I got ones to follow as well.
So definitely. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. So for the Alaskans, the few Alaskans or few people that don't know you, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I've been all my life, lifelong Alaskan. I was born here in Alaska. I cut my teeth in communities like Mountain View, Muldoon, and Spinar, just doing entry-level community organizing. I spent a lifetime working on substance use prevention issues and working with kids and juveniles throughout the, throughout the state. I've been in villages and towns and working in this city. I think I'm a person who's devoted my life to Alaska. I'm also a musician, I'm a poet as well. So I combine the two, but I grew up in a family committed to public service, and I think the people who know me, the people you've talked to, know that that's what I do. This is my mission on the planet, is to help serve it. So,
how did you transition from art to politics?
Well, I never transitioned. I've always done both, and I think people should try to do both. I know a lot of folks in politics that can't see beyond it to their art, and they forget their connection to people and their connection to community. But our brain isn't just one thing; it's a lot of things, and so why not explore both parts of who you are, or multiple parts of who you are? So my arts and my music still goes on, and my work in politics has gone on at the same time.
Alaska have faced years of budget instabilities and dependencies on oil revenue in long term. What are your visions on the diversitizing of things?
Well, so one thing that's changed in Alaska is we many years ago set up what's called the Permanent Fund. And it was based on the money we made from oil goes into the Permanent Fund. In the end, the hope was that the fund would become big enough that it would produce more income for Alaska and for the state than oil does. And that's the case now. It literally 2/3 of our budget, regular budget, comes out of the Permanent Fund. And when you think about it, see, oil, it's a non-renewable resource, and eventually it's a resource the world is turning away from. But the Permanent Fund is capital, it's cash, and so it produces income. And so the future, first thing to remember about our future is it's not going to be dependent on oil in the long run. It will be dependent on whether or not we have a healthy Permanent Fund. So that's, part of it is making sure we keep the Permanent Fund healthy. But the second thing, and more importantly, is we leave a lot of money on the table. We have not collected from the industries that come to Alaska and take our resource wealth and leave very little behind. We have not done our best to collect revenue on behalf of Alaskans from them, so I think we should do that. There's a couple of specific things we can do to do that right away. But my belief is that right now we have about $180 million every year we could be collecting without any taxation on us, but that we should be collecting at a minimum. And we could probably collect as much as $500 million from the industry and from others that simply aren't paying their fair share in taxes.
Definitely. Now, with saying that, you are big on speaking on education.
I am. Yeah.
When elected, what kind of reforms or investments would you put in this Alaska education public school?
Well, so to start that conversation, the first thing is you got to know what works in public schools, and we do know. We know that if you fund pre-kindergarten for every kid in Alaska, that they come to school prepared to learn. And right now we don't do that. So I pushed for a bill many years ago, and we eventually passed it in 2022, that will phase in pre-kindergarten, pre-K as we call it, all over the state by the end of 3 years from now. So we have 13 of our 52 school districts are now covered in pre-K. So a kid comes prepared to learn, and then that kid is given strong reading instruction in whatever language they learn in for the next 3 years, and you lock in that learning. So by 8th grade, they're doing even better. Because when we're young, the brain is still forming, and you want to take full advantage of that. So we didn't have a system until that bill that really focused on those pieces. So that's number one. Number two, we have to have a plan to keep teachers here, Right now, we're the only state that doesn't give a pension plan to teachers in the union. And what that means is when you get to your 5th year of teaching, just when you're getting good at it, you leave. You take cash out of 401k, which is what we give, and you leave and go to another state. I want to make sure we have a defined pension plan that keeps the best teachers here. And then finally, you have to have a plan to make sure that when your kids graduate, they should have the ability, if they want to go to college, or have the ability, if they want to have a building trade. Or if they live in a small community, they should have the ability to live in that community and know how to live in that community comfortably. So I think those are the, 10 years from now, I want to see every Alaskan getting a quality education with teachers that are bound to stay here, and that we fully support our education system in any manner needed from the state as well.
Definitely. And also, crime and public safety.
It's different, tough issue, local issue mostly. A lot of people think that homelessness and crime and public safety are connected. I don't think so, except that those who are homeless are often subject to crime. But the real crime that happens here tends to be around drugs in particular. There's some alcohol, and then we have high rates of violent crime, where people are very violent. I've always supported public safety. I worked at the community level and the neighborhood level. Right here, we're in Mountain View right now, right here in Mountain View. And that was the biggest complaint that people had here was, they were exposed to high crime. So we pushed to have a local office of the police located here as community policing officers. So we encouraged police force at the time to actually buy houses in Mountain View and live in Mountain View if they're going to walk the beat in Mountain View. Now, that was some time ago. A lot of those things aren't being done now, but it reduced crime in Mountain View overnight because people knew that the police weren't the enemy, they were your neighbor. They were somebody who lived with you. So that's part of it. You have to work with the community if you're going to actually build successful crime reduction. Community has to believe and trust their law enforcement, and the law enforcement has to know that the community is ready to move forward. And that's what we were able to do just by coming in and talking to neighbors and, reducing the dilapidated out of, we had a lot of housing here that was, owned by people who didn't even live here anymore. So we did zoning changes and other things to try to make Mountain View, for example, a more livable place. Not just Mountain View, Muldoon, and we can do the same in our smaller communities as well. So you build a healthy lifestyle and crime goes down. You build opportunity where people can find jobs or know that there's other opportunities for them to succeed, crime will go down. So it's a combination of respectful law enforcement alongside stronger neighborhoods and communities. That's how you reduce crime. That's a broad picture. There are some specific things that I hope to do, but those are the big picture things.
Okay. Now, ask another question because I'm out here a lot, and another question that gets to be argued a lot is, where should the state, if you was elected, where should the state focus more on? Is it giving more funds to the police or putting more funds into the homeless camps? Because we see crime is rising a lot, and also homelessness is a big problem in the state.
It's not just homelessness, it's the fact that people, even if they wanted to live in a home, can't afford it. So I think the real issue here is that if we find a way to strengthen the economy by lowering the cost of energy, making housing more available to the average citizen, which you can't do now. Our prices are so high for housing, the average young person can't get into a home. Everywhere I've gone in the state, that is like one of the number one issues that comes up is housing. If you could solve the housing issue, it means that you're building houses, which means you need more labor and more construction. It means that people are working again. And when people are working, crime rates go down. We know that to be a fact. So it's more than that. Wherever we worked in a neighborhood and we got the neighbors engaged and involved, crime rates also went down because they looked out for each other and they cared for each other. Paying for more law enforcement doesn't work if you don't have the commitment and the trust of the community. You're going to have both. You got to do both. But at the same time, if you're doing that on the law enforcement side, but you're also working on solving the housing issue, you're benefiting the economy as a whole, and that will also drive crime rates down. Always does. So you have to think about it not in isolation, but as part of the whole. That how do we lift up our boats, if you will? How do you make the sea rise together? And the way you do it is You work in your neighborhoods, you build trust between police and neighbors, but you also work specifically on the homeless issue. You listen to the homeless and you say, what do you need? So one thing I want to add there is I was just in Sitka, and I went to their housing coalition. It's a great coalition. And they worked with their homeless neighbors to identify the kind of housing that those homeless neighbors wanted. Then they worked with their neighborhood and their community to make sure that was okay with the neighborhood, and they did. And then they worked with labor unions and others to create affordable housing, and they built it. And this is exciting because now you have people moving into permanent housing who didn't have access because they couldn't afford it. You know that that's going to impact the crime rate. They will no longer be victims, nor will they be incentivized to commit a crime. In the meantime, you're also building all this community strength. It's pretty powerful.
Definitely. Now, talking about Sitka and places out there, let's talk about the rural areas.
Sure. For dealing with public safety in rural areas, there's, of course, any number of other issues, and I keep hearing new ideas from people when I'm out on the road, and I'm hoping that some of those ideas are ideas that we're able to work on. Yeah.
Definitely. And the state permanent dividend funds have been long in Alaskan politics.
Yeah.
How would your administration strike and balance between paying the dividends out and funding essential public service?
Well, so there's an effort right now. So our permanent fund is in the Constitution. It's protected. The dividend is not. It's just what we call a statute or a state law. So statutes actually, when they come into conflict with the Constitution, are often ignored. So because the Constitution is the ultimate power. So a lot of people are talking about taking the permanent fund itself and then its earnings, the money that the permanent fund makes, which is not part of the Constitution, and putting them together as an endowment, and then taking a percentage of that endowment and using for state services. If they do that idea, it has to go to a vote of the people. But the people aren't going to support an idea like that if it doesn't protect the dividend as well. So my proposal is that we also put a dividend into that constitutional amendment. So there's a guarantee of a dividend. But we redo the formula. The current formula that we have in state law is not, we haven't paid it in over 9 years. So let's set a formula that we can afford, but one that still allows us to have a check. Then as the permanent fund grows, we tie that formula to the fund so it grows as well. So the dividend grows while the fund grows. And if the fund goes through bad times, the dividend will go. So if it goes down, the dividend would go down. But the idea would be that we don't find ourselves out of balance, because we must have a dividend. It connects people to the permanent fund and preserves it, keeps wealthier people from trying to take it away. But we also have to provide basic services. We must provide an education system. We must provide public safety. We must take care of our roads. We must take care of our communities. So you have to balance these two. I would probably start the dividend somewhere maybe where it's been in the last few years, $1,200, something like that, and then let it grow with the fund. And so if our fund, which is today about $86 billion, so if it reaches, say, $120 billion over time, that produces enough money for us to run state government and pay a hefty dividend, a comfortable dividend.
Definitely, because I've seen many people have been used to high dividends in the past.
Way in the past, yeah.
And when it dropped, that also got many people talking in departments like that. And that's why I like to ask this type of questions so people could understand the reason why stuff like that are happening.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think a lot of people think that you can pay a full dividend, and well, the law says pay a full dividend, but the law also says take care of Alaskans. So when the two laws come in conflict, you're going to have to make choices. And ultimately, if we don't change the law and we don't change how we do the whole permanent fund and the dividend, we're going to lose both. And then we got no future. So from my perspective, let's find the magic place that the population agrees to of Alaska, that the legislature agrees to in Alaska, and then as governor, I'll push for that if we have that. And then we put that on the ballot, we vote on that, and hopefully it passes and we have a future. But if we don't make these changes soon, we're not going to have either. In the long run, we'll still have a fund, but it won't fund anything. It'll just be sitting in a bank and won't produce enough money for us to actually do our basic services. We have to. So.
Definitely. And also, Alaskan voters have become increasingly independent, often rejecting strict party policies.
Mm-hmm.
How would you appeal to the conversation of progressing such things and diversity here?
Well, that's two questions. In terms of how we are going as Alaskans and how we're changing, I think we've always had a really strong independent streak as Alaskans. It doesn't matter whether you lived here 10,000 years or whether you've lived here for, a year. All of us, when we come here because we believe in a certain independent spirit. And I think we should, Alaskans need to be strongly independent in how, we don't need to be dependent on others. We need to try to find how we can become self-sufficient. And so I think you see that reflected a lot in our politics. I'm a Democrat, I got along with my Republican colleagues and worked well with them when I served in the state Senate, helped build coalitions of agreement. So part of that is a joke I make, but it's true, is that a pothole isn't either a Democrat or a Republican. It's just a pothole and you got to fix it. And the same goes with a school. It's not a Democratic school or a Republican school, it's a school. It's educating a child, and we need to be committed to educating that child together. So in terms of diversity, and it's my opinion and it's my belief, and Alaska has strongly supported this belief that discrimination in the state of Alaska is unacceptable at all levels, regardless of what or who you love, what or who birthed you, where you live. Nothing like that should impact how you're treated. We should be treated equally in this state, whether you've been here for a lifetime like I have, or for a shorter period of time like somebody else has been. We should all be treated fairly. We should be treated equally. That requires a good justice system, fair law enforcement. It requires fair resource development that doesn't destroy the livelihood of one for the wealth of another. It means working together as community like we're supposed to, and doing that in a way that actually benefits Alaskans, doesn't hurt them.
Definitely. I like that answer. Now, with saying that benefits of Alaska, we know that mental health have become a very big thing, and addiction continue to impact Alaskan families. How would you and your administration prioritize and improve behavioral health care access here?
Yeah, the issue there is what you ended with, which is we have really, where we have behavioral health, we have some very, very good behavioral health, but access to behavioral health is quite difficult. It's very difficult to sustain behavioral health in a very small community, and that's where the need is greatest. So what we have to do is really, and something I did do in the Senate, is you have to create more housing for public health nurses and public health professionals. In particular, that would include mental health professionals, but also those who work in the fields of substance abuse. So you want to find ways to enhance their ability to travel in small communities where the need is greatest. And so in doing that, the state has an obligation to work with communities to help build housing that can house teachers and public safety, but also public health workers, including those mental health workers. So that's one thing. The second thing is we don't train enough mental health clinicians in Alaska. There's a program over at the university that is designed to do that, but it only creates 5 or 6 a year of real professional mental health clinicians. It's not enough. And so, and that program's been cut by the state government. So we have a thing up here called the Mental Health Trust Authority. They have risen to the challenge, and for the next 2 years, they're going to help support that program. If that funding goes away, we won't be producing our own clinicians anymore. So I believe the state has a role in working with the Mental Health Trust, which has a substantial amount of money, to enhance those services. And finally, and this is my field, so this is an area I actually have some level of relationship with, but when it comes to mental health services, our mental health trust should be producing a comprehensive plan that says these are the pieces that will make a working mental health system in Alaska. This is what we're going to do in urban areas. This is what we're going to do in rural areas that are on the road. And this is what we're going to do in rural areas that aren't on the road. They should be setting that template out in a readable fashion so that a governor and a legislature can act on the suggestions and recommendations they make. The funding will exist to do that, but we have to have a plan that we clearly can see. And there have been a lot of plans, but one that we clearly can see, and then we have to actually fund the plan. And that takes us engaging with the trust authority, engaging with each other, and agreeing that this isn't a political football. It's too important for the state.
I think right now we know immigration problems have been a lot in the whole of America and also in Alaska too. How do you think the state is going to go about with that in the future?
Well, so there's a number of different issues here. Right now we don't have enough teachers in Alaska, so we tend to recruit those teachers from actually foreign countries to come in. Filipinos, our large Filipino complement of teachers have done a great job to help alleviate some of that stress. But under the federal administration, that's going to cost $100,000 a teacher. We've also, not just in here, but also in America, we've also looked at the same with medical health professionals. And so if you know that that is the case, that there is this level of cost related to recruiting folks, you have to address that as an immigration issue first. In other words, cutting off immigration isn't helping us deal with critical issues. So we have to find that balance between allowing immigration into the country and providing our services. But my grandparents immigrated here. They came from a foreign country on my dad's side. And they were lucky because they came here, they found work while they were here. They didn't speak the language. They spoke Croatian. They weren't English speakers. Till the day my grandfather died when he was in his late 80s, early 90s. Can't remember, I think it was 91. But he still spoke broken English. We have to make a path for people. We're supposed to be the shining city on the hill. That's what President Reagan said. And that was meant to be a place that people came to because they believed in freedom and they believed in democracy and they believed in these things that were our values. And I say were because I'm not sure that they're shared by everybody anymore. But immigration isn't a bad word and it shouldn't be treated that way. Immigration is what people do. We should find paths for those who are willing to be American citizens and work for this country and pay their bills and pay their taxes. We should find a path for them because we need them. We need them just like generations before us needed them. And so I think Alaska has dealt with it fairly well. We're going to have a crisis now because we're not going to be able to get enough teachers. And
that's been a big problem in the community, as in.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a big problem in the community. And if the federal administration continues to make it hard, then I'm not sure how we're going to find the teachers to teach our children. So I am not an opponent of sensible immigration. I believe that this country was made great by immigration. And so now the question is, how do we find the pathway for Alaska to ensure we can still have the doctors we need, the teachers we require, and the professional services that come from an immigrant population?
Definitely. And also, you have been out of office since 2022. 22?
Technically 23 January, but yeah, 23. January of 23. But
so if elected, what inspired you to come back and to run in the arena in 2026?
I was asked that by a reporter in Juneau a couple of days ago when I was down there. And I said, he goes, why would you do this when the state is facing the worst crisis it's ever faced in its history, or in modern history, and so why would you do it now instead of good times? I said, well, that's exactly when you do it. I'm a musician. I have my music life. I'm also I write. I have my writing life. My wife and I had retired comfortably. We were looking at we were young enough to truly enjoy travel, which I do, and all kinds of things, and it's just. But we're not in a good place. And I love my state. And it wasn't my favorite job being in the state Senate, I'll tell you, it was a tough job. But if not now, when? You stand up when things are tough. You stand up when times are hard. Otherwise, who are you? What's your commitment to your community? I'm willing to work for my community because I think my community expects that of me. And I love my community, and I expect that it loves itself as well. And so why wouldn't we step up and embrace each other, especially now when it's so important for us to have a plan? I got 13 other people running, for this office, and I'm waiting to see another person come up with a plan, but I haven't seen one. And I believe that we can have a strong education system. I believe we can have affordable energy that allows people to be able to live in a home again. And I believe we can have a fiscal plan that actually benefits the state for generations to come. But if there's no will to make it happen, nothing happens, it's just words. And I believe I have the will to make that happen.
With Alaska's ranked choice voting system now shaping elections, how do you plan to position yourself to attract second choice voters from independent and moderates?
Well, I speak to all Alaskans, and I've never hesitated to do that in all the years of my work, whether as a state senator or working in the field, whether I was sleeping in a gym in Queetlook or up in sleeping on the floor of a jail because that was the only thing available in Point Hope. That was all they had. So I take my sleeping bag when I go to communities, and I'll sleep where I need to sleep. But
you go through all this stuff?
Yeah, I did all these things. I went to village after village in my work. No matter what the job was, when I was community justice coordinator for Alaska, my job was to take care of my state. And that's what I did. I took care of my state whenever I could, and working with neighbors, working with community members to do that. Back on the point of your question, I think, well, I'm not sure how I would put this. I have spent my life wanting to make this place better. Let me just change the whole premise. I think that's the commitment I'm going to make as governor. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be talking to people. I'm going to make myself available to folks, whether they're the people that fly in jets and go all over the world talking about their multinational corporations, or my friends over here in Mountain View that helped build this place back from the ground up. Those are the people that matter to me. And you'll see it when I'm talking out front with Jasmine, or walking down the hall and a guy says, "Hi, Tom, how you doing?" Or Brian Hutton stops me at the gate, stops me at the door to see how my writing's doing. That's who I am. Imagine a governor who actually can talk to everybody in the state at the same level. Not talk down to them, but talk with them. That's what I think we need in the state of Alaska today. I may not have answered your question. You might want to restate it. So.
Definitely. The question was, with the ranked choice.
Oh, ranked choice, yeah. So yeah, with ranked choice voting, when you actually appeal directly to a human being, that's one of the benefits of ranked choice. You got to talk to everybody. Part of it also is that negative campaigning has no place in ranked choice, and I don't like negative campaigning. You get to talk about your vision, and what ranked choice does is it allows you to say, "Look, I know I may not be your first choice. You may be more liberal or more conservative than me or more moderate than me, whatever it may be. You may have somebody else that you like as your first choice. But at the very least, you should think of me as your second choice, because I can bring all those same people to the table together and we can work a problem out." What ranked choice has done for Alaska is it's allowed moderates and conservatives and liberals to sit down together and work together, because they're no longer afraid of somebody on the far right or the far left punishing them for talking to somebody else. We should be talking with each other. So that's what I say. I support ranked choice. And when I'm out there, I say to people, under a ranked choice election, I'm not asking to be your first vote if you can't do that. But I am asking you to think about me as your second vote, because I'll listen to you. And I think that's the value of it, is that we as voters get to pick our first choice, but we also get to have a backup plan. And that's never bad. So, yeah.
That's always great. Wow, I didn't know you go through the extreme fact of sleeping on the jails to make sure you get to talk to Alaskan people. And
yeah, so that story is funny. That's I was up in Point Hope, which is a small village on the Arctic Ocean, right on the cusp of the Arctic, and as you go down toward the Bering Sea. It's a small town. It's a small town, but I'm there talking with all the leaders, and we're talking about setting up they wanted to set up their own little court to deal with juvenile delinquency because they have what we call restorative plans. Like if a kid commits a small crime, instead of giving them a jail sentence, you get them to work in the community, and elders step up and others step up. So but they have schools, and they'll often lay a gym mat down, and a sleeping bag on a gym mat's just fine. But yeah, I've done that for years. I've done that.
Definitely.
So
from having this conversation with you, and even hearing about your story as a musician, the love for art,
yes,
to bring in that, I think people that come from that type of backgrounds understand and appreciate the people that they live with. Because if you're into art and those type of stuff, you have to have the love for people. And
I hope so. I think so.
And
yeah.
for my sitting down with you, it gives me a different perspective of who you are. And even though it's because I think it's very important for somebody to travel around the world to see how the world is, to understand the different cultures, especially being in Alaska here.
Yes.
And Mountain View in general. What are your thoughts on Mountain View? Because when many people see Mountain View, some might see it as it needs more attention to be paid to.
Mm-hmm.
Some other people might see it as Mountain View is very diverse. Tell us a little bit about your experience on the diversity of things in.
So this is a good question. So when I was in the state Senate, I represented Mountain View and Fairview and downtown, and also wealthier parts of town too, and the bases. So my Senate district was the most diverse state Senate district in the United States of America. And a lot of people didn't know that. Over 100 languages spoken in my district. And so at that level, you're exposed to diversity everywhere. People from Mountain View came to me in my work at the time and said, how can we become a stronger community? My response was, well, you build a community from the inside out. And that means that you have to trust yourselves. And sometimes that requires people that aren't living there, because I didn't live in Mountain View at the time. I lived in Fairview for a while, but not in Mountain View. I would say people that are connected to the systems, like I was at the time, we can help you become stronger. Just tell me what you're interested in doing, and let me help you find the tools to make you stronger, so you don't have to rely on me to do it. Don't give the power to me. Keep the power. Use me to help you develop your power, and you will make a stronger, healthier community. And Mountain View did that, and it took a long, long time. And it wasn't just me. There were a lot of people involved in that. We would meet regularly to say, there's no health clinic in Mountain View. We should figure out a way to bring health care here on a more regular basis. That's why at the school, when they rebuilt the middle school, we ensured there was the potential, which there is, to have a health clinic in that school that could be accessed by the neighborhood. Yeah, they haven't done it, but it's built. It's a part of the school design. And when we didn't have any banking out here, people who didn't have access to a bank, and you had a population, most of which didn't own cars, many of which didn't own cars. We had a bus system that wasn't taking into account that a lot of people here in Mountain View used services. It would take them 2.5 hours to get to a hospital. And so we worked with the city at the time and helped develop better bus routes, so that the bus routes made sense for the people who used the services just over here at the hospitals. Getting to them became much easier. Instead of having to go from here downtown, then to the hospital, we just made the stops following more of a circle. But this is when the community steps up and says, these are the things we need, then it's the job of government to help you realize that, not to say no, but to say, oh, that's what will make your place feel better and more healthy. We worked with, at the time, Cook Inlet Housing to help develop higher quality housing and to create both owner-owned as well as apartment housing that was healthy, that was regularly tended, where those who bought a house had to sign a contract that they would maintain the house. These are the things that so neighbors then begin to respond to that. And they see not the dwindling of possibility, but the strengthening of hope. And that's what makes a community thrive. It's not just good jobs, which are critical, and cheaper energy, which is critical. It's also a belief that things can be better. And that's where your leadership has to have a role in that. Plus, finally, on diversity and those issues, a strong governor or mayor should be recruiting from the neighborhoods themselves for positions and roles in government, not just because you should have a government that reflects its people, but also because it should be our role to train up those who will follow us in our shoes. I brought on a young African-American woman to work for me. And I said to her when I hired her, "Will you run for state senate someday?" And she said, "Well, what if I say no?" I said, "If you say no, I'm not gonna hire you. If you say yes, then I'm gonna hire you and we're gonna work together, and you will be a better senator than I could ever be, because you reflect this district better than I do. And frankly, you're smarter than me." And that senator now is Lukey Tobin, and she is a senator for the Bases and Fairview. They took Mountain View out of her district, but she is in office today and is doing her job because she is capable beyond belief to do that job. And she might not have ever had a path to that job otherwise, even though she was probably the single most qualified person to have it. So that's part of what good governance does. It identifies people who have possibility and helps elevate them to roles where they can make a difference.
Definitely. Like you heard it here, man. From speaking to you, definitely, I've seen a woman that even before we started the interview, it was very, very nice. It was very nice to talk to you and having to know where you are coming from.
I appreciate that.
And I think the people watching also can relate to what you are saying. And it was a pleasure having you here, and we will most definitely have you here.
I hope so.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Tom, for coming.
Thank you.
This is Tom Begich running for Governor 2026. You have heard his story and what he have explained, and his good that he will be bringing to the Alaskan people. Now it's just up to you guys to vote who you would like, and you have heard Tom, and he have mentioned the things for the Alaskan people. Thank you very much for tuning in. Mad Alaska. Till next time.